Palestinians say Israel's settlement decision right after the UN vote is a provocation. How do you see it?
Well, I see it as very important. When the US calls these settlement expansions illegal, when they call them counterproductive, we should be using the word illegal because that's very clearly what this act is. A further 3,000 homes to be built in a legally occupied Palestinian territory. And this is a further obstacle to peace. If we're serious about a two-state solution, and if we're serious about moving towards that, then there's no way that this further settlement expansion can be seen as in any way a move towards getting back around the table and moving towards the peace talks that both sides so desperately need to see the peace.
If that's the case, then what future do you see for negotiations on a two-state solution with this continuing occupation of what Palestinians claim is their land?
Sorry, could you just repeat that question?
Yes, I mean, what future do you think there is then for a two-state solution with this continuing occupation?
Well, clearly, I believe that we're further away from a two-state solution than we've ever been before. But this isn't to say that we're any closer to any other form of peace process. With the international consensus firmly behind a two-state solution, for me this has to be the most pragmatic path for us to move along to try and obtain the peace that both sides so desperately need. Inherent within the two-state solution has to be the upholding of international humanitarian law, and only negotiations based around this standard of upholding international humanitarian law can any peace negotiations take place. So, yes, we're further away from a two-state solution than perhaps we've ever been before, but only by building on the international consensus that we've got, that Israel and even the United States are further away from, can we hope to move towards a long-lasting peace. So Palestinians having access to the International Criminal Court was put forward by my own government, the UK government, as an obstacle towards peace. And now for me, I find this utterly shocking. The possibility that my government might be saying that having access to justice, having access to accountability could somehow be an obstacle to peace. What I'd like both the UK government and unilaterally through the European Union, I'd like them to be making much clearer statements about how whoever the perpetrator is and whoever the victim is, there needs to be justice brought through established international mechanisms. And now, in the latest upsurge in violence in Gaza, we've seen documented proof that Israel launched indiscriminate attacks, i.e. they failed to distinguish between combatant and civilian. In the same way that Hamas rocket attacks are very clearly either aimed at civilian, which is a violation of international humanitarian law in the sense it targets civilian, or by the indiscriminate nature of their arsenal.
And that the Israelis has is to speed up plans to develop a land known as E1. It's 5 square miles of dusty hillside, but it is crucially important because if they do go ahead and build on that land, they will effectively split the West Bank in half, north and south. And the West Bank is a land earmarked for a Palestinian state, and it will simply not be viable. If the Israelis go ahead with that, peace activists here on the Israeli side have said that pretty much is a deal breaker. It's like a fatal heart attack to the whole idea of a two-state solution. To my mind, that is a threat the Israelis are making, a very real threat, but I think it's also a negotiating chip, a marker, the kind of thing that they might want to talk about if negotiations do resume. Israeli side, even from people who represent the settler community, some 500,000 Israelis who live within eastern Jerusalem and the West Bank, of course they're delighted that the news of new settlements are coming, but they are frankly surprised by the timing. One saying that, well, you know, we like the new settlements, but the timing seems to be going out of its way to alienate even our few remaining friends in the international community, most notably, of course, America. On the Palestinian side, predictable outrage. They call it a very provocative gesture. They're saying it shows what they're trying to do, going to the United Nations for recognition, is desperately trying to preserve the last remnant of hope in the two-state solution. They're saying that the Israelis are pretty much sabotaging that plan. Whilst the Palestinian Authority is changing its letterheads to put the word Palestine on its emails and its letterheads, that kind of thing. But beyond the symbolism, it doesn't really change any of the facts on the ground. It doesn't do away with the Israeli checkpoints, the Israeli soldiers, or the settlements. What it did do, I think, was for the Palestinians was to show that the tide of international opinion is working in their direction. They won that vote by an absolutely massive majority. The Israelis found themselves in a minority of 9, as well as the United States and Canada, nations that do matter. They were left with the likes of Micronesia supporting.
The US cancellation of a major international conference on banning nuclear arms in the Middle East. The Mohammad Khazai has also criticized the US over the issue. He said Washington opposed the event over fears that it could further isolate Israel, its closest ally in the Middle East.
The big danger in the Middle East is Israel, that has so many nuclear warheads. The nukes are putting the security of the region and the world at risk.
Well, Israel, which is widely believed to be the sole possessor of nuclear arms in the region, has refused to sign the NPT. It issued a statement saying that scrapping the meeting is a gross violation of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NPT. The 120-member organization also blasted Russia, Britain and the UN chief for supporting America's move. The meeting was scheduled to be held in Finland's capital, Helsinki, later this month.
In the near future, I don't think the United States will accept and its allies. Yeah, I was not surprised that Israel refused this. I don't think Israel has any interest to accept such proposal, which is fair, and everybody knows that 120 countries, they know that such a proposal will create stability in the Middle East. And Israel, which has between 300 and 400 nuclear and warhead, doesn't have any interest to accept this, since Israel never denied and never confirmed the presence of nuclear weapons, and supported by United States. And Israel did not join the NPT, is not willing to do it. And Israel never respected the IAEA also. And nobody in the world would, ask Israel or, try even to oblige Israel to recognize the nuclear weapons. Israel believes that the nuclear weapons in Israel is a deterrence. In fact, it's not a deterrence, it's a threat against the stability in the world. And the United States is committed to support Israel. And I don't think such conference, and even if it will be held, doesn't have the possibility to have any concrete decision. Such decision will not have the chance to be born, in my opinion. Israel has the monopole of the nuclear weapons in the Middle East, and at the same time, when America put sanctions against Iran, because Iran has a peaceful nuclear program, and at the same time encourage Israel to have a nuclear arsenal and to threaten the security in the Middle East, that's, I wasn't surprised at all. Right. And I don't think we will have such fair decision, to create stability in the Middle East, since there is a country called United States is supporting Israel and its nuclear program and its aggression at the same time. And we have maybe I'm saying in the short time, to have such situation in the Middle East.